The air smelled of pine and damp earth, the sounds of nature enveloping the High Rock Lake campsite in a peaceful symphony. Mark and Linda had been looking forward to this weekend for months. Their two teenagers, Emma and Jake, had been reluctant at first, groaning at the thought of being cut off from civilization with no cell service. But after a couple of days of hiking through dense trails, fishing in crystal-clear streams, and climbing ancient rock formations, even they had begun to enjoy themselves. It was on the third night that everything changed. The sky was clear and dotted with stars when it happened. A streak of light, brighter than anything they'd ever seen, tore across the heavens. It wasn't a shooting star. It was a meteor. The ground trembled with its impact, a distant rumble followed by a plume of smoke rising above the trees. The air grew heavy with the smell of scorched earth. "Whoa! Did you see that?" Jake jumped up, eyes wide with excitement. "Yeah," Emma said. "It hit somewhere close. We should check it out." Mark shook his head. "It's too dangerous to wander the woods at night. We'll go in the morning." Reluctantly, the family agreed. But sleep didn't come easy that night. The image of the meteor blazing across the sky stayed with them, tugging at their curiosity. By dawn, they could wait no longer. They packed their gear and set off. The forest was eerily quiet as they followed the faint trail of scorched underbrush. An hour later, they found it, a jagged crater surrounded by charred earth. At its center lay a glowing rock no larger than a basketball. The meteor pulsed with an otherworldly light like a living, breathing thing. Drips of molten red lava oozed from its surface, hissing as it hit the ground. "It's beautiful," Emma whispered, stepping closer. "Don't touch it," Mark warned, but his voice came a moment too late. Emma reached out. The moment her fingers brushed the rock, the red lava leaped to her arm, spreading like liquid fire. She screamed as the substance absorbed into her skin, glowing veins snaking up her arm. "Emma!" Mark rushed to her side, grabbing her arm in panic. But the moment he touched her, the substance jumped to him. Linda and Jake tried to pull them back, but it was no use. It spread quickly, leaping from person to person. Within seconds, all four of them were infected. They stumbled away from the crater, their bodies racked with searing pain. Their veins glowed faintly red beneath their skin, which had begun to take on a strange, hardened texture. Over the next few hours, the changes worsened. Emma was the first to notice. "Dad, my hands, they're changing," she cried. Mark looked down at his own hands. His skin had darkened, becoming rough and rock-like, his fingers elongated into clawed appendages. The pain intensified, bones shifting and muscles expanding. Their eyes glowed like molten embers, and their breaths came out in hot, ragged gasps. "What's happening to us?" Linda whispered, fear thick in her voice. "We've got to get out of here," Mark said, though deep down he knew it was already too late. Their bodies were changing too fast. By nightfall, the transformation was complete. They were no longer human. Their skin had become armor-like, covered in molten ridges. Their faces were twisted into grotesque masks, eyes burning with a primal hunger. They still had their minds, their memories, but those were slipping away too, overwhelmed by an insatiable need. The forest became their new home. Days passed in a haze of hunting and hiding. They tried to resist the urge to hunt other campers and hikers, but the hunger was too strong. A week after the family disappeared, their worried relatives reported them missing. Search parties combed the woods, but they found nothing. The crater was gone, its strange rock disintegrated into ash. More disappearances were reported. Hikers vanished without a trace. Some were found, their bodies mutilated and half-eaten. Others were never seen again. The survivors, the lucky ones, told stories of creatures with glowing eyes and rock-like skin stalking the forest. Few believed them, dismissing their accounts as hallucinations brought on by fear. But deep in the Talladega National Forest, the monsters remained. They prowled the woods under the cover of darkness, caught between the echoes of who they once were and the terrible creatures they had become. As the legend grew, Campers began to whisper around their fires about the family that had come to the forest and never returned. They called them the burned ones, forever doomed to haunt the woods. If you ever camped near High Rock Lake, you might hear them at night. Heavy footsteps in the distance, the faint glow of red eyes watching from the trees. And if you're unlucky enough to see them, remember this: it's already too late.